Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rachel, and today we're going to go through some of the things I've been really digging this last February. I apologize for the lack of videos these past few weeks, but I've been kind of sick. It's definitely flu season, and I have been a little under the weather, but we're going to get right back to our regular scheduling of videos. And today we're going to talk about some movies, music, TV shows, little smorgasbord of stuff I've been really into. First, I'm going to talk about Monster Hunter World. Now, I was really hesitant to include this game on my favorites because I'm not really sure it's going to be a favorite game of mine, but I will admit it just has been occupying all of my time lately. There's something about it that just keeps drawing me back in again and again and again. There are a lot of great things about this game. The armor progression and the way that you kind of make your way through the game is really thought out. The online features are implemented really well. The game looks beautiful, but there are just a few things that hold this game back from true greatness. And unfortunately, I think they're pretty major. Now, I know there's a lot of Monster Hunter fanboys and fangirls out there who are probably going to totally disagree with what I'm about to say, but the combat in this game needs some serious work. I think the game does a really good job of making you feel challenged going up against these huge monsters, but it's incredibly frustrating when you're getting hit or you die because your character just refuses to face in the direction you're pressing on the analog stick. I find the combat in general is very clunky and unresponsive. I am having fun with this game. I'm playing it a lot, so it's not all bad. I just want it to be like the best game ever, and right now it's kind of sitting around this mediocre range. But it is really satisfying to take down a monster with a group of your friends. I think that's the best part of this game. And they have made a lot of improvements in terms of organizing the quests. I'm not sure this will become a favorite game of mine, but it's at least worth your time, and there's obviously a lot of people playing. I think this game sold over 6 million copies already, so there are a lot of people diving into the world of Monster Hunter. Next, I want to talk about a series I watched on Netflix this past month called Altered Carbon. It's a sci-fi show that's actually based on a book series. Now, unfortunately, I haven't read the books. They're on my to-read list, especially after watching this show. So I can't speak to the differences between the book and the show, but the show itself as a standalone piece of media I thought was just excellent. It's got all you want from a cyberpunk, futuristic kind of film noir style. I do find in the beginning the series was a little heavy-handed with trying to explain and outline the rules of the world, but once you finally dive into the plot and you uncover the story of Takeshi Kovacs and you dive into his past and his origins, the story really becomes intense. There's an awful lot of plot twists as you go through the series, so I'm not gonna spoil everything, but basically the premise is a future world where the human consciousness has been able to be isolated and downloaded into stacks. Stacks are these little disc-like shapes that you can put into a slot in a human body, and in this way, the stacks can jump between different sleeves or different bodies. So essentially, it creates this world where people can live beyond just their own physical body, especially if they have money. Now, people who are rich are able to have clones of themselves and resleeve into multiple bodies, whereas people who are kind of in the underbelly of society may not have that access and may not be able to live as long. Takeshi Kovacs is sort of an ex-military guy, and he's brought in to investigate a murder. And so there is this detective story that's kind of driving the plot along, surrounded by this very futuristic, cyberpunk, gritty world. The atmosphere in this show alone makes it worth watching. I really enjoyed it. I thought the story was just really tied up nicely. There's some great plot twists, and I think it was probably one of the best Netflix shows I've seen. I really love sci-fi and I really love cyberpunk, so the more cyberpunk stuff I can get my hands on, the better. I really would love to read these books, and if you've read the books or seen the show, let me know your thoughts. I've heard there's some kind of major differences, but I feel like the final execution of the TV show was actually really awesome. So a movie that I saw, also on Netflix, by the way, was The Villainous. Now, The Villainous is a South Korean revenge flick, kind of in the style of something like John Wick. It's incredibly violent. It's about an assassin, and the twist here is that the assassin is a woman. And not only is she a woman, but she's also a mother. So I really thought this film did a great job of dealing with the dynamics of this trained killer who also had a daughter, and how she balanced both aspects of her life. I'd been meaning to see this movie for a while. It was featured here at a film festival earlier this year. It's been making the rounds on a lot of film festivals. So when I saw that it was on Netflix, I was really excited. I had to watch it like that night. I really love good action movies. Personally, for me, the more blood, the better. If you've seen any other kind of Asian action films, you will probably know what to expect in terms of the level and intensity of the violence. This film also did something kind of interesting where it has a few segments that are shot in first person, which I'm not really crazy about, and if the whole movie had been shot in first person, it probably would have turned me off. For the segments that it is in first person, I feel like it does actually work. It really enhances the brutality, and I think it's cool. Without any spoilers, the beginning of the movie is in first person, so you don't really know who's doing the killing in the first scene, and then it's kind of revealed that it's this woman. I think from a directorial standpoint, this was a really interesting choice. So if you like hyper-violent action movies, you may want to check that out. I think Netflix is having a good run in February. I want to talk about another film I saw recently called Annihilation. The film has kind of a limited release, but if it's playing near you, I feel like you get a really unique experience seeing this in the theater. The sound design is really intense and is kind of similar in a way to the sound design of Blade Runner, where you have these massive atmospheric sounds that aren't going to have quite the same impact on your home TV. Now, this movie is fairly straightforward and also incredibly complex and deep at the same time, and that's maybe why I love it so much. Once again, it's another sci-fi film. Can you tell I love sci-fi? Because I love sci-fi. And Natalie Portman and a team of scientists go into this phenomenon called the shimmer that has appeared. Could be alien in nature or just another dimension. So the movie does have this mystery unfolding driving the entire plot, but it's really more about the themes. It's really thought-provoking sci-fi, very similar to things like 2001, Arrival. I'd say it's even similar to Interstellar in a way, because it really dives into these like philosophical thematic qualities. It's kind of this slow burn. It's hard for me to talk about this film without spoiling it, but I really don't want to because I feel like the payoff is so great. Basically, these characters are trying to solve the mystery of what is the shimmer and why do people keep disappearing when they go into the shimmer. Some people might disagree with me, but I find this movie actually looms on that sci-fi horror barrier. It's not exactly the same as something like Alien, where you have a creature stalking and haunting you, but there was a lot of really intense imagery that I found really unsettling, and the entire movie just has this overwhelming sense of dread through the whole film. And I feel like that is the kind of horror that's a lot more interesting than something like It, which has dancing clowns and loud noises and all of these things that have become modern horror. This cerebral horror is actually way more interesting, way more unsettling, sticks with you longer, and I mean, I really like it. So I highly recommend you see Annihilation in the theaters, like I said, if you can. The visuals are really impressive on the big screen. The sound design washes over you and envelops you, and I think you have to experience it in the theater to really get the most out of this. I really recommend it, but again, I know it's not gonna be for everybody, so if you like your sci-fi with a slow burn and philosophical ambiguity, then I think you might like it. I was able to see The Shape of Water recently, and I really, really loved the film. I thought it was done so well, and Guillermo del Toro and I kind of have this love-hate relationship where I really want to love his movies, and then a lot of times I go and see them and they just disappoint me. I feel like The Shape of Water actually did not. In a way, it's a beautiful story. The best part about The Shape of Water, I think, is the set design. The look and feel of the entire movie is so meticulously chosen. The 1950s aesthetic really works for this, and it's stylized to the point where you feel really immersed in the environment. It almost reminded me of Crimson Peak, another of his films that has a really well-designed set. Now, quick rundown of The Shape of Water without any spoilers. It's about a woman who is mute. She can hear but can't speak, and she works at a government base as a cleaning lady. While she's there, she encounters a secret government project, which turns out to be a creature. And to be honest, I will just leave it at that because I think you really have to watch the film to see how the relationships between the characters unfold. There's a lot of fantasy elements here, a lot of romance elements. It's just a really well-told story. Everything kind of ties up neatly. I really enjoyed the experience of watching this movie. It was just so pretty to look at. Now I want to talk about some music I've been into lately. We're gonna continue on the J-pop train, which I was on last month. I do listen to more than just J-pop, I promise. There's been a lot of really great new stuff that has come out that's speaking to me. The first song I'm going to talk about is a song by Aimee, and it's called Refrain. It's the ending song for Koi wa Ameyagari no Yoni, which is a new anime that started in January. I'm not watching the anime. It's an anime about an older man and a young teenage girl and their relationship, I think. I've heard actually it's really great, but the song is just beautiful. It makes my heart hurt. It's so beautiful. She has a very unique sound to her voice, and a lot of her songs tend to be more orchestrated, deep, beautiful ballads. This is exactly in that vein. I'm not even sure I can leave a link to this below because I'm not sure an official link to this audio exists on YouTube, but if you can find a way to listen to this song, I really think you should. Even if you don't like J-pop, you don't like anime, if you like strong, moving, emotional ballads, I really think you should give it a try. It's just so beautiful. And next I want to talk about my homegirl, Boa. Now Boa is a Korean singer. She broke into the Japanese scene over 10 years ago now, which is crazy. And I kind of grew up listening to her music. She was somebody that I was really into. She's definitely just a J-pop, K-pop singer, but she has such a good voice. She dances so well. I just think she's incredibly talented. She's just somebody who has really inspired me. She doesn't necessarily sound like all of the other K-pop that's out there. She stays true to her own style, which is incredible because a lot of her music is written by other people. She has written some of her music, but she doesn't write a lot. She's still definitely a manufactured pop star. Don't get me wrong about that. This month, she released both a Japanese album and a Korean mini album. So my life is so happy because I have all this new Boa music. If there was one song of hers I would tell you to check out right now, I personally think One Shot, Two Shot, which is in Korean, is really catchy, really unique. She looks so great in the video. I'm a bit biased because I'm a longtime fan of hers, but as somebody who also listens to all the modern K-pop that's out there, and modern J-pop for that matter, J-rock, I mean, I listen to a lot of Asian music. I find that Boa has maintained her own unique position, her unique style, and her voice is just on par with some of the greatest pop singers out there. So I'll leave some links to some of her songs below from the new albums, and you can check them out if you so choose. I swear sometime soon I'll come up with some favorite songs and music that is not J-pop, K-pop. I promise. I promise. Next month, it's a deal. I'm just gonna talk about a few anime real quick. I wanna talk about 3 shows in particular: Devilman Crybaby, Darling in the Franxx, and Pop Team Epic. Now, Devilman Crybaby I actually watched in January and really technically should be part of my January favorites, but I just forgot about it when I was filming, which I don't know what happened that day. I must have been super distracted, but I'm gonna put it out there. I think Devilman Crybaby may be one of my favorite shows of all time. I just think the animation is so excellent. The story was so concise, there's no filler. The source material is great to begin with, but I just think this is like Devilman at its best. Fair warning, Devilman is incredibly violent and has a lot of graphic sexual imagery, so it may not be for everybody. But if you can handle that, I really think you should check this show out because it's so well done. And I'm not gonna go on too long about it, but I'm just gonna mention again, Darling in the Franxx, I think is probably the best anime of the season and maybe approaching top anime of all time status, especially after seeing episode 6. Now I've gone into this show before in several of my videos, so I'm not gonna go too deep into it. I'll just leave some links in the card so you can check it out. But I'm a sucker for mech shows, especially mech shows with creepy councils of ambiguous people controlling the lives of teenagers. You have all the things here from a great mecha show in the style of Evangelion. I just think this show has really, really interesting potential. Now, the last week's episode, it's the classic filler Let's Go to the Beach episode, so this anime does definitely have some of that thrown in, but the actual plot episodes are really, really intense. I'm just so excited to see where this show goes. And finally, we're gonna talk about Pop Team Epic. Now, if you haven't heard about Pop Team Epic, it's based on a Japanese internet meme that just kind of 4-panel mangas. This show is so weird. It's kind of like in the style of something like Robot Chicken, where you have like little skits. It's only like 12 minutes per episode, so they're really short. And each skit sometimes is short as like 10 seconds, sometimes as long as a couple minutes. Just depends on the skit. And not every skit is funny. I mean, some of them just kind of fall and don't land at all. But the skits that are funny are like comedy gold. I mean, genius. There was this skit in a recent episode, I believe it was episode 7, dealing with Hellshake Yano, and the skit is not even animated. It's just like two guys with boards like flipping through pencil drawings and acting out the voices. It's actual brilliance. I mean, I feel like you need to watch just this skit alone if you watch anything from this show, but I'm kind of enjoying every week having like 10 to 15 minutes of absolute insanity. Similar to Robot Chicken, it's like not every skit is funny to everybody. Some of the jokes I think you do need like Japanese culture knowledge to even really understand what they're talking about. There's other jokes that I think comedy crosses all boundaries, and I feel like this show is just absolutely ridiculous. It's not highbrow or anything like that, but it's pretty funny and entertaining. So that's all my favorites for February. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I would love to know some of the things you're loving lately. Are you also into the same things I'm into? Anything different? Let me know if there's an anime I should be watching this season. Is there another cyberpunk show out there that I could be diving into? Leave me a comment below and I will be sure to check out your recommendations. It would mean so much to me if you could go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, especially if you liked any of the things that I talked about today. If you want to hear more from me, you can go ahead and subscribe. As always, there will be a lot of information in the description box about the stuff I talked about today, so feel free to check that out down below. Stay tuned because I have a lot of new content planned and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!